Yup. Good morning. Welcome to JDB's Morning Cap. And welcome. Today is Thursday. May 21st, 2026. Today's May 21st, Thursday, May 21st, 2026. So we are really excited about this show here today. So we have a lot to get to. We had a ton to get to here today. So I believe it's really best. I think it's really best to get things in order here. So I believe there's a lot going on this show. So we have a handful of things to get to today. So let's get started. All right, let's start with the NBA. Last night, the game was close. The game went down to the wire for the second night in a row between the Spurs and the Thunder. Game 2 of the best-of-7 Western Conference Finals. But the big story is injuries. We had a Thunder player left the game. Jalen Williams left the game. In the first half, with his left leg, he did not return. Casey Wallace took over for Williams. And then the Spurs, Dylan Harper left the game. He left the game in the third quarter with a right leg injury. He did not come back. So game 3 for Dylan Harper playing is in doubt. So, speaking that which the Thunder did not show any doubts of game 2, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a bounce-back performance after a rough game 1, shot 50% for the field, which is 12 for 24. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the way with 30 points and 9 assists. Well, some critical moments. Casey Wallace stepped up, 12 points, 4 made three-pointers. Alex Caruso, he's off to a good start in his conference finals, 17 points in game 2 after he had like 30 the other game in game 1. As the Thunder able to hold off the Spurs 122 to 113 to even up this series at 1 apiece. So, here's my question right now. Should the Thunder continue to play well defensively? They have played great defense all season long. They continue that trend. It's about level of consistency. Play great brand of defense. And it's critical because it really helps how much you could really love to play. The name of the game is defense, a philosophy. You gotta change the narrative of this game. You gotta change the narrative. Because of that, you didn't really want to do anything else along with it. It's just like that. The Thunder benefit 14 steals against the Spurs last night. They continue to dominate in steals because the Spurs, at times, they can be problematic taking care of the basketball against a really elite Thunder defense. We've seen that through the first two games of this conference finals. It's about strength and battle. The Thunder has led most of the way. So far, both of these games in this series have gone to clutch time in this one here. Meanwhile, for the San Antonio Spurs, despite the loss, the Spurs showing signs of climbing their way back in this game. But Stephon Castle actually played well as far as scoring and field goal percentage. 25 points, 10 for 17 from the field. Not bad. He did have 8 assists. But the other issue, again, turnovers. He had 11 in game 1, 9 last night. So far, Dylan Harper has 20 turnovers through the first 2 games of this Western Conference Finals. That is unacceptable. He's averaged 10 a game through the first 2 games. That's the most by any player in conference finals history, either East or West. That just can't happen. Stephon Castle has accounted 9 of the Spurs' 21 turnovers. I understand the Thunder's defense is great, but the ball handling for Castle has to do better. Now, the good news is the Spurs are back home tomorrow. I think Castle's ball security expect to be better. Not just the next 2 games at home, probably the rest of this series. I expect it to be a hard-fought series between the Thunder and the Spurs. You talk about this is the old path. Victor Wembanyama So there were 3 players. There were plus minus. There were plus players. Julian Champagnie was plus 11. Victor Wembanyama plus 1. Dylan Harper got injured. He's plus 6. He had a good game before he left with the injury. So my concern is Dylan Harper doubt to play game 3 or otherwise? Well, I don't see Dylan Harper to be on the floor at least for a couple of games. The good news is the series is tied at 1 apiece. There is a game 5 next Tuesday back in Oklahoma City. So the earliest he could return is game 4. He might miss game 3. The earliest he can play is game 4. The latest he can play is either game 5 or game 6. If there's a game 6, either it's 2-2, 3-2, whatever. There's a lot on the line. So let's see how much you can really survive from that. So it's going to make a path a whole lot easier. So it's really tough. It's tough to get through that. It is really tough to get through this. It really is. You just got to deliver yourself. Because of that, you've done everything else right because of it. So, Thunder takes Game 2 of the best of 7 Western Conference Finals, with the series even up at 1 apiece. Game 3 will be in Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas tomorrow. Tip-off begins at 8:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock in Game 3 of the best of 7 Western Conference Finals. Let's see if the Spurs can bring out more energy in Game 3. We'll see how that goes here. Coming up next on JDB's Morning Cap, we'll talk Aaron Rodgers. Is he done in the NFL after the 2026-27 season? We may start a farewell tour. Also coming up, we'll talk Cavs and the Knicks. What Cavs need to do to even up this series? I'll answer that question. And also coming up, the Lakers are searching for critical answers this upcoming offseason. So, is LeBron going to play with this team next year? I'll answer that question right after this break. All right, welcome back to JDB's Morning Cap. We do have breaking news in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers expects to retire after the 2026-27 season. Aaron Rodgers was drafted with the Green Bay Packers in 2005. He did not make his NFL debut until 2008 when Brett Favre left for the Jets. So since Rodgers became a starter with Green Bay, New York Jets, and Pittsburgh Steelers, he's played 3 teams of his career. So Aaron Rodgers holds 166-97-1, including in the playoffs. Actually, that's the regular season record. The overall career record, 178 wins, 108 losses, and 1 tie. So here's the career passing statistics. Aaron Rodgers has 66,234 passing yards, 527 touchdowns, 123 interceptions, completion percentage 65%, quarterback rating is about 101.8. And then his accolades. Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time NFL MVP, 10-time Pro Bowl selection, 1-time Super Bowl champion, and 1-time Super Bowl MVP was 2010-2011 season. He spent 3 total teams. Green Bay Packers most of his career, New York Jets for 2 seasons, and then Steelers for 1 season. This will be his second and last. So it's been a Hall of Fame journey for Aaron Rodgers. But I'm not going to blame Aaron what he has done in his career. He's been going through ups and downs of his career. Even though Aaron Rodgers makes the playoffs, he wins MVPs, but it ends the postseason in growing pains. Aaron Rodgers, his first MVP run was 2011-2012 season, and carried the Packers team with a 15-1 record. They had the best record in football, and the Packers were on the verge of going to repeat Super Bowl. They had a chance to face Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, but they got upset by the Eli Manning New York Giants. The reason why the Packers lost to the Giants in the divisional round in the NFC in 2011-12 playoffs, the Packers have the worst defense in the NFL that year. The Packers had the worst defense in the NFL. They had the talent, but the defense gave away too many yards. Despite the takeaways, despite the high takeaways and all that stuff, They give up a lot of big plays in a passing game. That's why the Packers aren't a championship team, because their defense is not that great. The Patriots defense wasn't good. Giants defense wasn't good. The teams that have the elite championship defense is the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And on the NFC side, you had the 49ers. The 49ers are a very good defensive team. Their offense wasn't great. We've seen several of those. Okay, let me say all this. And then you got several other teams that can get in. They got to make this happen. But Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, what a run they have between these guys. And you talk about Aaron Rodgers, you might as well perform at a high level. It is too hard to keep it up because of that. You just make the situation a lot better. But that's what happens. When you don't win games like that, you're going to have serious problems. But you're going to like it. You're going to trust me this way. You do have to trust. You got to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. That's a golden moment. That is a golden moment. Because of that, you made the situation a whole lot better. So, his second MVP win was 2014-15 season. And what happened? Another painful loss in it. This time it's an NFC Championship game in Seattle. Defending Super Bowl champions Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson was the quarterback. Pete Carroll was the head coach. Marshawn Lynch was the Seahawks running back. Jermaine Kearse was a wide receiver. Packers had draft Devontae Adams. Jordy Nelson was still with the team for the Green Bay Packers. Clay Matthews was still on the team. We were with Green Bay. The Packers, there's another miss Packers and Patriots matchup in the Super Bowl. It's only happened one time in the Super Bowl, Packers and Patriots. You have in 1997. I think it was Super Bowl. It was Super Bowl 31. It was Patriots and the Packers in 1997. Super Bowl 31 in 1997. That was an incredible moment. It was Brett Favre versus Drew Bledsoe versus Brett Favre. Drew Bledsoe had 4 interceptions. Desmond Howard won the Super Bowl MVP that year as well. I mean, the reason why the Packers were up in the NFC Championship game in 2014-15 season, they blew the lead, and then they give up an onside kick. The Seahawks recovered their onside kick. And then the Seahawks came back to tie it. And then in overtime, the Seahawks scored a game-winning touchdown. The Packers were up 19-7 in the fourth quarter, 16-0 at halftime. Actually, Marshall Lynch had a go-ahead touchdown before Crosby hit a game-tying field goal with 14 seconds left. And then Russell Wilson threw a game-winning 35-yard touchdown pass to Jermaine Kearse to complete the improbable NFC Championship comeback. Seahawks beat the Packers in overtime 28-22. That was another painful loss for Aaron Rodgers. And then his third MVP run was 2020-21 season. The Packers were the number 1 seed in the NFC. I believe the best record in the NFL that year. The Packers went 13-3 that season. They had a first-round bye. They beat the Rams in the NFC division round, and then they had a painful loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game. A pass interference on Green Bay, despite Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in the NFC Championship game, cost their championship. Tom Brady would have faced Patrick Mahomes. So that's that. And then the fourth MVP run was 2021-22 season. The Packers went 13-4, and they were the number 1 seed in the NFC. However, the Packers' offense was okay. The defense is pretty decent, but special teams was a big issue. They got upset by the 49ers in the NFC divisional round because the kicking game was bad. Crosby field goal was blocked, and then the Packers punter was blocked, recovered by the Niners for a touchdown, and the Packers never responded. Then the Niners hit a game-winning field goal by, I believe it was Robbie Gould had a game-winning field goal for the 49ers to make it 13-10 for the 49ers. Special teams was bad for the Packers in 2021-22 season. That might have cost their championship as well. They would have faced Mahomes as well in the Super Bowl. So we've seen several painful playoff losses in Aaron Rodgers' career. And then Aaron Rodgers, his final season with the Packers was 2022-23 season. He played his last game. His last game with the Green Bay Packers was January 8th, 2023. The Packers lost to the Lions to cost a playoff spot. Had the Packers won, the Packers would have won a tiebreaker over Seattle based on, I believe, better conference record. Instead, Seattle takes the final spot away from Green Bay because Detroit beat Green Bay, but Detroit wasn't in because Seattle beat Detroit earlier that season in Detroit. So Detroit had a winning record, did not make the playoffs because of a tiebreaker in favor of Seattle. So Green Bay did not make the playoffs because of the inconsistencies, the play calling issues, and that's why Green Bay did not make the playoffs. And then Aaron Rodgers left for the New York Jets. He made his debut against the Buffalo Bills. 4 plays into the game, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, and then he never came back the rest of the season. And then he played a full season in 2024. He did not play well under his form. The Jets team was really bad. They fired Joe Douglas. They fired Robert Saleh. And this Jets team was completely dysfunctional. I believe Jets went 5-12 that season in 2024. And Aaron Rodgers decided to move on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers returned back to the playoffs and won the AFC North Division, but lost to the undermanned Texans team in the AFC wildcard round. Aaron Rodgers has a 3 postseason game losing streak dating back to 2020-21 NFC Championship game. He has not won a playoff game since the 2020-21 NFC Divisional round. That was against the Los Angeles Rams. And Jared Goff was a quarterback with the Rams. And Sean McVay was a coach. And Matthew Stafford, that was his final season as a Lions starting quarterback before they swapped their trades with each other. And then the Dan Campbell era began with Detroit. So, I mean, we talk about career storylines of Aaron Rodgers. So, here's this Aaron Rodgers farewell tour this season, excluding against the Saints. The Steelers and Saints game is in Paris. It's not in New Orleans this year. The game is in Paris. Saints are a designated home team, by the way. So, Aaron Rodgers will begin his farewell tour. Steelers will have 9 total road games overall. So, here's his farewell tour begin. They'll kick off this season against the Falcons at home. This will be his final career Week 1 start for Aaron Rodgers. And then his first farewell tour will be September 20th against New England Patriots in New England. And then they'll go to Cleveland on October 1st. Then they'll go to Tampa Bay on October 18th. They'll play the Saints in October 25th in Paris, France. It should have been in New Orleans if it wasn't. If the game was not in Paris, the game would have been in New Orleans. Instead, the game is in Paris, France. And then they'll go to Cincinnati and play Joe Burrow on November 15th. On Sunday night in Cincinnati. And then they're going to play Philadelphia on the road in a rivalry game on November 22nd. And then they'll play Jacksonville on December 14th in Jacksonville. And then they're going to go to Tennessee Titans in week 17 on January 3rd. And then his final NFL game is also on the road. They're going to play in Baltimore. They're going to play either January 9th or January 10th. So week 18 schedule is undecided. His final career home game is against the Panthers, week 16. Either is going to be December 26th or the 27th. So they had one of those two dates filed out. Steelers, Aaron Rodgers' final ever home game of his career is against the Panthers in week 16. And the fans will support Aaron Rodgers for either December 26th or the 27th. So we'll have to keep an eye on that schedule as this year goes on. So if that's the case, then you can really set up your schedule consistently, if that's going to be the case. So, what stands out? His final NFL game is against the Ravens in Baltimore. The Steelers will see the Ravens twice over the next 4 weeks. The first matchup is December 20th in Pittsburgh. Next one is around second week of January in Baltimore. So this could be for the AFC North title again, just like last year, or possibly a final spot of the AFC. This time the game will be in Baltimore. Last year the game was in Pittsburgh. This is for the AFC North Championship game. And Steelers won on Tyler Loop's missed game-winning 44-yard field goal on January 8th, 2000. Actually, I got it all wrong. January 4th, 2008. January 4th, 2026. The Ravens and Steelers occurred that game in week 18. Tyler Loop missed a 44-yard field goal to try to win it for the Ravens. But the AFC North was victorious by the Pittsburgh Steelers, 26-24. This was before the Loops missed field goal. Chris Boswell missed the extra point that would have made a 3-point game. That was after the Steelers scored a touchdown to put them back ahead. But it was a wild finish in Pittsburgh. So Aaron Rodgers will retire after this season. He is a future Hall of Famer. Several NFL quarterbacks, either active or legends. Legends quarterback reacting, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Drew Brees, Eli Manning. The legends react about Ben Roethlisberger, who knew about Aaron Rodgers, and then current players who played. Patrick Mahomes has never faced Aaron Rodgers before, but they're really good friends. They have never faced each other. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins. Who else who reacted? Who knew about Aaron Rodgers? Justin Herbert. So there's several members who know about Aaron Rodgers, his reactions final season. So that's gonna be it for Aaron Rodgers. All right, coming up next on JDB's Morning Cap, we're gonna go back to the NBA. We're gonna preview the Cavaliers and Knicks in the Garden in Game 2 of this Eastern Conference Finals, with the Knicks up 1-0 in this series. We'll talk about the Los Angeles Lakers situation in upcoming offseason. We'll explain that right after the break. Tonight, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Knicks come off at 115-104 victory in Game 1. The Knicks were down as many as 22 points before the Knicks closed out on a 44-11 run. The Cavaliers end up a late game collapse. So let's see how tonight's Game 2 plays out in New York City with the Knicks ahead 1-0. So here's my question about the New York Knicks. How the Knicks can get better offensively despite the win in Game 1. Well, let me answer this question really quick about the New York Knicks. I do have something to say on that note, because it really feels like you did everything you're supposed to ask. But now, it is really different. You really want to say. But now I didn't want to lose you that way, because it's about that. As for Jalen Brunson, they just got to perform at a high level. Jalen Brunson has to perform at a high level. That's the critical moment. That is a huge moment for them. Because of that, you already have this situation handed out. There's nothing else you can wake up about this and about that and all that stuff you can go in. But Karl-Anthony Towns has to play better. Josh Hart has to play better. Everybody else in the Knicks has to play better, other than Jalen Brunson. That's going to be critical in Game 2. Can they shoot the ball better in Game 2? They still won in Game 1. Can they recover after the poor shooting in Game 1, despite the victory? I think they can overcome it because of all of this. Meanwhile, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they should be disappointed, especially James Harden. I'm blaming James Harden for this in Game 1. Turnovers, missed free throws, poor shot selections. Donovan Mitchell had not been aggressive much in the fourth quarter. If they don't do either of those, they can't win. They can't win these games like that. They can't find a way to get a win. We've seen blown leads from Cleveland time and time again. And if you've been going through the same issues time and time again, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a huge problem because of it. But if you make this right quick, it's not an issue. But you might as well take that under consideration. Because of that, you already made the situation a whole lot better. So that's that. And and here's the thing. Here's the thing right now. Who do you think who should win Game 2 tonight? The Knicks or the Knicks or the Cavs? I like New York Knicks taking Game 2. I think it's gonna be a competitive game, and I think Knicks will pull away late against the Cavs in Game 2. I think Knicks will go 2-0. If that's the case. Here. All right, let's keep it right here for a long while. Let's start with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers end up getting swept by the Thunder in the second round, but so far, the offseason is looming large for the Lakers. So let's see what's going to happen. Potential free agency. LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Luke Kennard, and Jackson Hayes are potential free agencies, all unrestricted free agencies. Several players are facing an unrestricted free agents. LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Luke Kennard, and Jackson Hayes. So right now they do have a couple of player options though. Marcus Smart has a player option. So is DeAndre Ayton. So the Lakers need to accomplish their goals in the free agency. How they can regain their player confidence. So, what's the future of LeBron James this offseason? Will he play with the Lakers? Will he enter his final season of the NBA next season? Will he retire soon enough? There's a bunch of questions that are going to be asked against LeBron James. I mean, he's having an outstanding NBA career. He's won 4 NBA titles. He's a 4-time league MVP. He's a 4-time NBA Finals MVP. He's been a first-team All-NBA at least 10 times of his career. He's been a multi-NBA All-Star MVP. He set all-time record points, minutes, field goals made, games played. I mean, his career has been incredible. LeBron James never stops playing basketball in his older age. And he's got his son on the team too, Bronny James. So I cannot blame him. We have a father-son on the team. That's a cool moment. Father-son played at least 1 minute together. That's a cool moment. Scoring at least 1 point in a single game. That's also a cool moment. Everything is a cool moment. The father-son moment. Playing together on the court. I love it. And because of that, you're going to make the situation better. I'm pretty sure you're going to have the same success because of that here. So, you think about the Los Angeles Lakers. Will LeBron play next year or will he retire? Which one would I rather? I'd rather LeBron play next year. I want to see LeBron play his final season next year. He wants to be an All-Star as a Legends All-Star game. I want to see LeBron's farewell tour. If LeBron retires after next season, then it's going to be down to few other generations. Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. We've seen several players. The players who've been drafted at least 2003. We're down to a few players left who's been drafted who's in 2003 draft or later. Stephen Curry drafted in 2009. Kevin Durant 2007. James Harden. James Harden, 2009. Russell Westbrook, 2008. So those are the players who's been drafted. LeBron James drafted in 2003. So those are the players who drafted 2003 or later. LeBron was the number one pick. This is all that. This is all about the NBA players who's going in at that level. If somebody else is on that level, the Lakers, LeBron James. We've seen the LeBron era, the Kobe era, the Michael Jordan era, the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Bill Russells. The list goes on and on. We've seen legends after legends after legends after legends. We've seen several of those. And that's that. This is the situation you want to see about the Los Angeles Lakers. You really ought to have that stuff that you're going to have. It's about common decency. And that'll be it. All right, let's close out on JDB's morning cap. What's coming up tomorrow on JDB's morning cap? Tomorrow will be episode 97. We're down just a few more episodes until the milestone of 100 episode. Tomorrow's morning cap, we'll recap tonight's game 2 between the Cavaliers and the Knicks. We'll preview tomorrow's game 3 between the Spurs and the Thunder in San Antonio. Game 3 is Friday, and game 4 is this Sunday in San Antonio. Game 3 will be in Cleveland on Saturday. So I'll preview game 3 tomorrow as well. So as Memorial Day weekend is approaching, and there's school between elementary, high school, middle school. We know college school is over, or university school is over. We're down to just elementary, middle school, junior high, high school. They're about to graduate by the end of this month or beginning next month. It's grad season, by the way, so we gotta keep that in mind. All right, man. It's almost summertime. I'm out of here. This is JDB's Morning Cap. We'll be back at it tomorrow, same time. And hope you enjoy your day.